Adam moved. He had gotten lost in the woods again. Stupid idea to take a shortcut on the road. He didn't have a clue where he took a wrong turn. Good chance that he'd be late again. This was turning into a habit, and one his mother didn't care for. A noise drew his attention. It wasn't the sound of a beast, but a drum. That didn't make sense. Were there others here? He let his curiosity guide him. He was already lost. Maybe whoever it was could help him. It was worth a try. He followed it to a small grove with a village in it. Except the village was tiny. The buildings were half his height. And the people, they were even smaller. Adam looked on in confusion at them, but he drew their attention. Immediately a cry went out, and they drew forth bows and arrows. Their intentions were obvious, and he started to run. Welcome to Mythical Phylogeny Adventurers. I'm your guide, Jason. Today, I'd like to take a look at one of the little people of Native American mythology, the Nimerigar. Native American mythology is filled with their own takes on creatures, including fairies and dwarves. When I originally planned to do this, I wanted to cover several versions lightly. But like how each Native American tribe is its own nation, with different beliefs and customs, even a creature which is found in several of them vary wildly. This is why I chose to focus on one of them. For the Shoshone, they are the Nimerigar. They are said to be human-like usually, with darker complexions and short necks. Except they are only a few inches tall, about 20 inches, but some claim that they grow up to 3 feet tall. Now the name Nimerigar actually tells us much about their behavior and culture. It means people eater. Yep, they are said to be cannibalistic. They have a brutal society. Any among them that failed to be useful to their tribe is slain, usually with a solid blow to the back of the head. Some even believe that in order to pass on, they had to fall in battle, similar to those who sought to enter Valhalla. They live within caves which no human should ever enter. If you do, they will fight. And for them, that is with poison arrows and other weapons. Most encounters end poorly for humans. Some claim that they have a preference for children. There is one interesting story to speak of with them, and that is the story of the Pedro Mountain Mummy. In 1932, a pair of gold miners found a 14-inch tall figure in a sitting position. Their names were Cecil Main and Frank Carr. There was a soft substance on the top of its head from where its brain was leaking out. They used dynamite to blow away some rock and found a 15-foot long and 4-foot high cavern. They found this little figure sitting on a ledge within. Of course, they took it to Casper, Wyoming, which was only 60 miles away, and had it examined. People believed it was a hoax, and scientists came from around the nation to examine, including the American Museum of Natural History and the Anthropology Department of Harvard University. They concluded by X-ray that there was a formed skeleton within, and estimated a lifespan of 65 years. Notably, it had sharp teeth. But the University of Wyoming in Laramie, Wyoming, claimed that it was in fact the remains of an infant. The remains passed into ownership of a businessman named Ivan T. Goodman until 1950, when he died, and a New York businessman named Leonard Walder, who perished in the 1980s. The current whereabouts are unknown, so we cannot dig into this further. Which sounds more likely? Yeah, the child's story. But until the remains are brought out once more, we can never know. Most likely, we are dealing with a late miscarriage. Possibly the reason was the skull failing to form and the brain being exposed. Possibly exencephalia or anencephalia, though how the remains got into a sealed cavern is a bit more complicated, wouldn't you agree? Now, what are we dealing with here? Small creatures with a malicious side? That could indicate goblins. The original reason I wanted to cover a large swath of the little people of Native American mythology is for this one topic. In the various tales, they are shown that many are beneficial to humanity, friendly, even heals those who are injured and protects them. They show a wide variation in behaviors. But the descriptions include other appearances, such as wings among them. This is what has led many to connect them to fairies. But could they be a strain of human? Well, there is Homo florensis, the shortest race of humanoid, at 3 feet 7 inches, or 1.1 meters. That would match the tallest height. So it could be a potential option. The shortest recorded human is Chandra Bahadar Dengi, who was 21.51 inches or 54.64 centimeters. That puts him just above the shortest height of such creatures, so it isn't impossible. But this doesn't exactly match. The Nimerigar are said to be fierce combatants, and when it comes to people with dwarfism, depending on the exact type, will depend on limb length and does lead to a host of problems with running and other issues. This can make running and hunting ineffective. So, if they are in fact human, they would want to maintain roughly the same limb length ratio as most humans. There aren't any details on the type of poisons that they employ. There are plenty of poisonous plants and snakes in North America which they could get it from. With so many different takes on them, we can assume that each tribe of little people may use their own poisons. Due to their size, it can influence their strength. Potentially, the 3-foot-high variant might have strength comparable to a child of similar stature, but the 20-inch tall one being very little. At worst, they may only be slightly stronger than a toddler. This could be an issue with the draw weight of their bows. At lower poundages, the arrow flies slower and has a steeper arc. This would give them less range and penetrating power, thus making them more dependent on their poisoned weapons. So, how do we protect ourselves from these little fellows? They are mentioned relying on poisoned arrows. That gives them range, but due to their size, their bows will be lacking in power. They shouldn't be able to penetrate gambeson or plate, but due to the small size of their arrows, chainmail might be an issue. I doubt that the arrows will have the penetrating power to do serious injury on their own, so having an antidote would be critical here. Due to their size, you'd want armor on your legs at least. A shield wouldn't be a bad investment either, but you'll need to hold it low. Yes, they are small, but that means you'll have a harder time trying to hit them. You'll need to be quick. I'd avoid piercing and stabbing attacks. Go for broad sweeping strokes that they will struggle to avoid. A bow and other ranged weapons are a little weaker. This isn't a big target, and that can be an issue. Magic may be a better option, particularly area of effect attacks. This can compensate for the size difference the best. If the little people are similar to European fairies, fire may be the best option. Ice magic may freeze them in place though. I would be careful with spells that create thick vines and brambles. That could offer them cover. In a one-on-one fight, its physical strength doesn't seem to be that impressive, but they are well mentioned operating in groups. You can't attack in all directions at once, and defending is just as hard. Having a party of your own won't hurt. Potentially, a spell for confusion could render their teamwork to your advantage. You just need to get them to turn on each other. I wouldn't try to talk them out of attacking you. Due to the size difference, one human should provide plenty of nourishment for their village, and they could use your shirt to provide plenty of fabric for them to use. Anything you carry can cover many of them. They aren't likely to just walk up and attack you. No, they will launch a surprise attack. So watch for places that would be perfect for it to hide in. Rocky terrain or heavy underbrush. Whether they have magic or not is questionable. Other variants do, but this particular one isn't mentioned wielding magic. So it is a possibility that I would recommend being prepared for. Now, there is a good chance that they may rely on traps and snares set out. They can be easy to miss when you are in a hurry. You'll need to keep your eyes sharp and be ready for it. The little people can be dangerous foes. Be prepared for their stealth attacks and have counters for their poisons. I do feel that they should earn a 3 of 10 for difficulty, more for their intelligence than physical abilities. Though, I think they will be very dependent on surprise attacks and teamwork. Can you potentially work with one? Well, potentially yes, but remember, they do eat humans. That makes any alliance with them fragile. You're one arrow in the back away from death. But if you can arrange it, they are helpful. You can exploit their stealth. They are small, and most foes will miss them when standing beside a human ally. Set them up before, and let them fire off like a good ranger or rogue. Keep them out of the brawl. Let them strike from the sidelines. Off the battlefield, they can work as spies. Just look around you. How many little spots could one of them be lurking in without an issue? I can see a dozen in my room right now, hiding under a table or in the closet. Just open your closet right now, and where do your eyes go? About head or chest height, not lower. But that is too likely to end up with you going down. I wouldn't try it. If slain, you can claim their poison to coat your own weapons. Their containers will be small, so be careful handling them. Their weapons and tools will likely be far too small for a human to make good use of. Adam ran. They may be small, but they were fast. Much faster than he suspected, on their shorter legs. They let off a war cry in their pursuit. That spurred him to go faster. They fired off arrows, but fell short. He crashed through the underbrush, tripped and fell, but sprang up as fear stabbed him. He ran and ran, never looking back, as he continued to hear the cries of the little people behind him. He kept going until he stumbled onto a road. Only then did he hear the silence that surrounded him. He was safe. Scared, but safe. And that is what mattered. With a pounding heart, he pressed forward towards home. The Nimerigar have potential to be dangerous, but it isn't their physicality which does it. No, it is their intelligence which does. Thank you for watching, adventurers. Please return next time for Hephaestus. Until then, I'll see you on the roads.